into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome to another edition of the AfterBuzz Recap Show. This week, we are covering episode 7 from season 2, The Writing on the Wall.
Ooh. Spooky. This is kind of a spooky episode.
This was an intense episode, right?
So much fun.
It's so good. We should probably go ahead and get into it. But first, let's go ahead and introduce our panel. Joining me on the panel tonight, Zach Wilson.
Hey, guys.
Joyce Ajouri.
Hi.
I'm your host, Megan Salinas. Unfortunately, Matthew Lieberman can't be here today. He's out of town, but we will do our darndest to recap this episode for you. Oh my gosh, guys. What do you, just initial thoughts, because my mind is blown right now.
Oh, it's so cool. The revelations that came out of this episode were just so exciting.
Yeah.
And it was also just a really well-built episode with like 2 distinct plot lines that never felt like they were stepping on each other.
Yeah, no, it flowed really well. The pacing was really great and really intense. I think we got about halfway through the episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're only halfway through, and already so much has happened.
Yeah, we covered so much in such a short amount of time, and I thought the editing was awesome, especially in the scene where, Coulson was getting his memory back for a moment, and he was, visualizing what he remembered or what he went through, seeing all his patients in the ward and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you could see the writing on the table kind of moving around, his surroundings were wiggling around. It was creepy.
And it's very kind of unsettling because that very well may be his future. As we're going through this episode, we don't necessarily end on that note, but as you're watching it, you're like, this could happen to Coulson at any time.
It was hard to see him go through all that this week.
There was a brief moment where I was like, they couldn't kill him again.
That would make for interesting TV.
I was like, they won't. But the fact that the thought even went through my head as like would they? It's good. It's compelling because I really thought like he's at the end of his rope.
I thought. I thought the same thing. There was one part where I literally covered my mouth and I was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to kill him, are they? And then of course you're like, no, he's Coulson.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't deal. I can't see him like this.
That's true. But yeah, you mentioned that there are 2 distinct plot lines. So let's go ahead and talk about that. We have the hunt for Ward, where May is leading a team to go and try and track Ward down after his escape. And we also have kind of the hunt for this really creepy serial killer who is obviously carving all these images that we've been seeing the writing on the wall this whole time. So it was the hunt for these 2 people in this episode. Which one would you guys like to talk about first, Ward or Derek?
Ooh. I was thinking Ward. But
yeah, let's start
with Ward.
There's going to be way more to talk about.
With Derek, yeah. Okay, so we have Ward. And I love that May is in charge of this team because we've got Tripp, we've got Hunter, we've got Bobby, and we've got May, all on the hunt for Ward. And it's kind of fun to see her lead this charge and just kind of to see their different tactics as they tail Ward. And it's fun to actually see the spy stuff, right?
Totally. It was really cool to see them to see them kind of be undercover or just all stealth-like. Not successfully, but...
Yeah, the different tactics that they take is pretty hilarious.
But Ward is just always a few steps ahead of them.
Yeah, Ward's turning out to be one of the best agents ever.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing too. Not to jump ahead, but where we kind of end with him on this one, it's like you're still kind of questioning whose side he's really on. And I mean, like I said, I don't want to jump ahead, but I kind of feel that after this episode, I feel like he's definitely on his own side. He's not with Hydra and he's not with S.H.I.E.L.D. He's on his own side, trying to fight his own battles and trying to win Skye over, obviously.
I have an old theory. An old new theory, because I dropped it for a while and then I think it has to come back.
Go ahead.
Ward turning out to be the Taskmaster.
Really?
Which like I know the name, like the name and the origins doesn't line up, but the character, the way that he's being built, like I feel like he needs to be a supervillain. But like I feel like that's where his character has to be going, because there's no way he goes back into S.H.I.E.L.D. He doesn't redeem himself in their eyes and become an agent again. He doesn't go. He is good enough that he's like, I want to, like, he's willing to kill Hydra. He doesn't like Hydra. He's not really fully a Hydra agent. He was a Garrett agent.
Yeah, that's true.
He could very well, way down the line, if he doesn't go back to S.H.I.E.L.D., which I also kind of agree. Like, I feel like I still want him to redeem himself, but I don't think he will in the sense where he'll come back to S.H.I.E.L.D. and sort of be on that team again. But I think way down the line, as, you know, his character does change into whatever it's going to change into, he'll still be beneficial somehow to S.H.I.E.L.D., and he'll want to help. And that'll be the one redeeming thing, but he won't necessarily be on their side. I don't know. I still feel like he has a chance, but...
Well, one of the interesting things about just this season as a whole is that not only do we have the definitive antagonist that is Hydra, but we also have a couple third-party elements that are out there as well, such as, you know, General Talbot, who is kind of an antagonist to S.H.I.E.L.D., but also kind of an asset in this weird way, and so their relationship is really weird. And now with Ward being out there, and not being, you know, automatically aligned with Hydra, he's become this new third party that can both help and hinder our team. So that's kind of interesting to watch that unfold, and it is kind of the big question is, will he try to go the redemption route, or will he become a supervillain, or will he, maybe both, maybe he'll try to redeem himself and he'll end up becoming a supervillain because of it.
I will say becoming a supervillain sounds much more interesting.
That's the thing, is like, I don't want him to be redeemed from a story point of view. I want him to go dark, and like maybe dark in like a very violent vigilante type dark.
I was gonna say, yeah, a vigilante type, definitely.
So I guess maybe the Taskmaster, who's like a straight up villain, is the wrong route. Maybe it's more that he's like gonna just be, maybe he's gonna become just like a hero, but like a really violent, like Punisher,
like a Punisher type hero,
yeah.
Where it's like, you're not really doing superhero-y things right now. Well, I mean, you're right. He went really dark in this episode. I mean, we've seen him kill people before, but like, this is the first time where he's put like civilians in danger. And one of the interesting things is when Trip is following him at the very beginning, and he's got C4 on him, and he's got the I think they called it the dead man switch, which is if he were to die, like his grip would set off,
would detonate
exactly
the bombs.
The C4. And then when he gets onto the bus where Bobby's watching him, you know, he hangs out with this mother and her child as he's getting onto the bus. And it's like, oh my God. I think that was one of the most disgusted I've ever been with him, was when he was blatantly putting a mother and a child in front of him.
But to the mom, I was like, what are you doing? Why are you saying he can come along with you?
I was just watching it and I was like, you monster. Because you were literally putting a woman and her child, like, throwing them out in front of you as a meat shield. That's not right in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but I think he trusts in like that S.H.I.E.L.D. won't do anything to set him off. It's crazy good tactics, though.
Yeah. Do you think that was actually C4 explosive, or do you think it was a bluff?
No, I think he really put explosives on himself.
I wouldn't think he would be bluffing at this point. I think he'll do anything to deter S.H.I.E.L.D. and stop them from coming after him, or anything that he wants to do.
Yeah, because then he risks them finding out that it's fake, and then he gets captured again. Like, this is like, true. I will die before I go back into your cell in the basement.
That's true. He's not going to get to see Sky that way.
Yeah.
But I did like the kind of very brief interaction he had with Bobby. And it was kind of fun because he, in a weird way, it's like he knows that she knows what he knows, because obviously he knows that they're tailing him the entire time. Mm-hmm. So like getting on from the bus that he was on with Bobby onto the Boston bus, I think at the end of this episode it's kind of like he knew that there was someone on that bus too. And so it was just kind of like, it was just fascinating to watch him work.
Yeah.
Maybe he got onto the Dallas buses almost like a way to toy with them.
Maybe.
Like, to like make them aware, like, I'm better at this than you.
Like, I see what's going on.
Also, I just thought, I don't know if it was intentional. I really appreciated the little, like, nod with Adrian Palicki on the bus going to Texas. From Friday Night Lights. That's like what I know her from. And she's on a bus going to Dallas.
I didn't make that connection at all.
I feel like that was just like a tiny little thing the writers like. Whoever wrote this episode was just like, and then they keep going.
Just a small, like, wink, and then moving
I
on.
have to pick
Like,
a city.
someone will get this.
And then weirdly, the Cowboys on the bus going to Boston.
Which, how funny is that's Hunter's disguise?
Yeah.
And he's even using the accent like, happy to oblige.
Well, if you're going to go undercover, you got to go all the way.
You got to be in
I
character.
wish we could have seen more of that. Then we only got like a few seconds of him being in that cowboy character.
Yeah, because the next scene, he's in a car and he's just, his normal self. And yeah, I kind of wish we could have seen a little bit more of Cowboy Hunter.
Yeah.
That would have been so funny. But when we get to Boston, though, Ward ends up going into this kind of creepy Hydra bar, and where they obviously know him. He was a regular customer when he was a Hydra agent. And that's where he meets Bakshi. And I was really surprised to see, Bakshi come into this episode, at least at this point, because I thought the entire episode was going to be Ward on the run. So it was very interesting. What do you guys think of Ward kind of turning Bakshi over to Coulson? Like, because that's an interesting move on his part.
Again, I think it's his. He's not a full villain. He's like a dark anti-hero who's like, yeah, this guy's bad. I don't like him. I'm going to turn him over to S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's going to basically be his thing. He's like, if I don't like you, I'm going to hurt you and then move on.
Or it's like, if I can use you.
Yeah.
And while we were watching, you said, could this be a trap? And I very well feel like it could possibly be a trap to just get S.H.I.E.L.D. to Whitehall or
Whitehall to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Whitehall to S.H.I.E.L.D.
That was an initial thought. Like, if he was actually working with Hydra, if he's actually not being this third party kind of renegade person, if he actually is still a Hydra agent, I was like, is this a trap? Are they going to track Bakshi now, and so Whitehall knows exactly where their headquarters is now?
But even so, this could very well, like I said before, it could be something he's doing to deter them from, continuing to follow him around or find out what he's doing.
Yeah, it could be a long con, and that's, again, it's very fascinating to watch evil Ward out and about, free to do as he pleases.
Yeah, I still don't think he's working for Hydra. I don't think it was a plan. I just think he's, like, I think he does want to, he wishes he could make up for it. But I think he knows at this point there's no going back.
And when he first walked into the bar and the bartender gave him two choices, do you think the bartender's way of figuring out if that was really him? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like you need to choose give you two choices, and whichever one he chose, whether it was right or wrong.
Bullet in the head.
Yeah.
Which that is totally a Hydra drink now that I think about it. I guess they both are, but I really do like seeing this side of Ward because he is a free man now. He's not taking orders from Garrett. He's not taking orders from Coulson. He gets to do as he chooses. And so it's going to be very interesting to see where his choices lead him and what drastic measures he'll go to get what he wants. And especially with that last shot of him, shaving, losing the beard, and you see just the gas cans in the back and the shovel, and it's very clear at the end that he's just going to be gunning it for his senator brother.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and also like, that's bad.
So scary.
I don't know what he has up his sleeve at this point.
And, I mean, last week we were left with a lot of questions as to, out of the two of them, which is the greater evil, I suppose. Because neither of them are good, but they're both manipulative, and it's kind of like, okay, well, which one of them is really worse? And so Ward going after his older brother, that's going to be a confrontation that's just going to blow up, like figuratively and possibly literally.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a question of like we don't really know what the end game is for either one. So we can't decide who we want to win because it's like if older brother Ward, if Senator Ward wins, like what does that mean? Does he get some sort of like new government project going? Do we want that?
Well, and right now he's technically on S.H.I.E.L.D's side. Technically, he's outwardly a S.H.I.E.L.D. advocate as he vows to bring his little brother to justice. But obviously that's a front. You know, the second S.H.I.E.L.D. becomes inconvenient for him, he'll drop them like a hot potato.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
So it's kind of like, I guess it's whoever, I guess, Coulson thinks is the most useful. Like maybe Ward acting as, you know, a cat bringing dead birds to S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe that is more useful than a senator. That was a pretty good one. Especially so do we think that he's obviously he still has a thing for Skye and that is his end goal probably. But do we think Skye is going to be susceptible to that?
I think a little bit. I still feel like the fact that he can tell her stuff about her dad is going to be a huge selling point for her to follow along with whatever he wants to do, or, you know, it'll lure her definitely to get closer to him, whether she wants to or not. What she wants is to know about her dad, and he'll dangle that in front of her face just to get her to talk to him and everything.
Yeah, but she's also not dumb. So
right. I don't think she's going to like blindly go into that situation.
Yeah.
But it's
and she knows her dad's a killer now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch it unfold.
Yeah.
But if she's like searching for like her origin story, if you will, I think it could get to a point where she has to like either kill him to stop him from doing something or find out. So I don't know. It's gonna come to a head. I think somewhere towards the end of the season.
Like we're only 7 episodes in this season, and I feel like I've been watching an entirely new show. It's so good.
I feel like it's been on for 13 episodes already too.
We're only
not in a bad way though.
Yeah, we're only like a third of the way through the season, less.
About that, yeah, because what were there, like 24, 26 episodes last season?
I think they got a 20.
I believe
either
it was
24
or 24 episode order.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and this is, and so like the pacing has been so much more like rapid fire. So much has happened in just 7 episodes. It's so fun to think about what's coming next.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Well, before we get to the next storyline, we should probably talk to you guys about iTunes really quick. Folks, thank you so much to everybody who goes to iTunes to rate and leave a comment. We love the comments on YouTube as well. But the best way for you to help us let our bosses know that you like the show that we're putting on is to go to iTunes, slap us with a 5-star rating, perhaps. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like about this show. Our bosses put on over 80 hours of content a week here at AfterBuzz, which means they work behind the scenes 90 hours a week. And so it really means the world to us when you just go to iTunes and let us know what you think so that we know that we're bringing you the best show that we can. And speaking of iTunes comments...
Guys, I have 4 pages of new comments for this podcast. This is insane. I couldn't fit it onto... not 1, 2, or 3 pages.
And how small is that font, too?
That is a small font. Like small enough that I have to squint a little bit to read these. And as you guys may remember, we're also having a little contest with this week's reviews to win this fantastic Black Panther poster that I picked up at the Marvel event a few weeks ago. It was an exclusive poster that you could not get anywhere else. It's the Black Panther concept art. And so I asked you guys, what Marvel movie are you most looking forward to and why? I got some definitely cool responses. I was excited there was one person who was excited about Ant-Man. I'm a big... like Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, like him and Wasp, like Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne are great.
I'm cautious about that one. I'm not sure how I feel about the initial directions that I'm hearing about it, just with Edgar Wright being on and then off.
I was very disappointed when Edgar Wright went away. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. And then I've heard more and more recently, and I think it could be good.
I don't know. The only bits about the story that I've heard are not necessarily reassuring. I still am going to be cautiously optimistic, and I'll still see it in theaters, I'm sure. But right now, that's not the one I'm jazzed to see. Well, while we're going through, really quick, what are you guys most excited to see?
Go, Zach.
They're all just like such my movies. Of Phase 3, because that was really the question. It's a Phase 3. What are you most excited about? I think I have to say Captain Marvel, because it's gonna be different. It's just because of the vast difference. And that's the thing I think I was talking about with somebody, is that what's so great about the Marvel slate coming up is that you can see that these are not just a bunch of superhero movies. We're not just getting like generic superhero protects his city and fights bad guys. No, we're getting Black Panther, which is a king fighting for his throne story in the middle of Africa and fighting to protect his country. Then you have Captain Marvel, which is a fighter pilot story. I'm assuming it's going to be like Marvel does Top Gun.
Yes! Sold!
With the lady in the lead. And,
shut up and take my money.
Ant-Man's a heist film. Like, these are all different movies, not just the same movie with a new character.
Which, could you imagine Avengers Ocean 11? I want it.
Well, that's sort of what they're talking about Ant-Man is going to be, is that, it's 2, but it's Hank Pym and Scott Lang, and they have to, like, steal something to save the world. I don't know what that is going to work out to be, but it sounds awesome.
How about you, Joyce?
I can't wait for the finale, for the conclusion of for Infinity Wars. I'm so excited because I said in the last podcast, I love the Infinity Gauntlet, and I can't wait to see how they're going to put that into the movies that are coming out.
Yes.
So I'm so stoked.
I'm a little wary about any film that gets split into 2. I'm sure both of them will be awesome and epic, but like, it kind of annoys me that so many movies these days are getting split into 2, especially when they're based on books. But I know that they're going to be awesome. I'm with you, Zach. I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel the most. I think.
And so is our the first shout out that we have. There's so many, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I could have 45-minute podcast just reading these reviews. But Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is the name, said that she is, or they, I don't know why I say it's sexist.
Agent can be man or woman.
I'm most excited for Captain Marvel after my prediction. As a female superhero, now she's getting her own movie and being Marvel. That will lead to other connections. I am also excited as being Carol Danvers, because it shows that Marvel is not just putting out a female character now just because of what others are doing, and there's more. But I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm gonna thank a bunch of you guys real quick. Austin G, Photo BD, Blue Flame 7521, Schwing Ting, Samaler E2408, Leda F. Let's see what here it is. Lyra Daenerys is the one who said that she's looking forward to Ant-Man. She's also a Lieber fan for life. I like Matt. I hate the word Lieber fan.
It's not going anywhere.
But also, she's also really excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is the other big one.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Gleeky TARDIS. Rachel Dominic is most excited for the Infinity War. Thanos is one of their favorite villains, and I want to see more of him. I can't wait to see how Marvel makes the Avengers and other characters interact with him.
I love Thanos.
Big K66 is also most looking forward to Infinity War 1 and 2 because of the opportunity to bring the MCU together, maybe even introduce some Phase 4 chapters as well. I can't even think about Phase 4. Phase 3 already blew my mind. Rat Trap 007, thank you very much. Pibular, Yuck 20, Mama Little 7, Riot Lancers, most looking forward to Captain America 3, Civil War, which is the other. There's so many, we keep forgetting.
Fair enough.
I'm looking forward to that one.
It's going to be a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're hoping that Marvel will secure some of the other rights back, because obviously Spider-Man's a huge part of the Civil War storyline, but they have to figure out how to do that. Maybe after Spider-Man 3, they'll like bend the universe to get him in.
I mean, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Markia 0723, Michael B85, forget hype. King Popandria, Popator, I'm sorry. He says they're most looking forward to Doctor Strange because it's like acid on screen.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing Benedict Cumberbatch in that role.
Is that confirmed yet? I know they're still talking about it.
It's like a well-sourced rumor.
You know who I'd like?
It's going to be confirmed.
I'd like Benedict Cumberbatch, but I'd also like Odette Fair. I think he would be great from the Mummy movies.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, you're so right.
As soon as I heard they were making it,
Yeah.
but as soon as I heard I was making it, I was like, Benedict Cumberbatch should play that role. Like,
He would be brilliant in that.
Tortoise92 is most looking forward to. I'm most looking forward to the new Black Panther movie, as he is my favorite Marvel hero. I've been waiting years for this announcement and think the casting is perfect. Fingers crossed that Andy Serkis is actually Claw.
Fingers crossed, indeed.
Okay, so many more. Lana Vase, Bill H2949, thank you all you guys. Omega Red 2099 is most excited for Ant-Man. I guess there were two. I missed one. Bucky Barnes and Steve, thank you so much. All right, and now the top two. The great runner-up, because this is a very well put together review. Neo Aoshi says most looking forward to Captain America: Civil War, because the idea that they could bring a storyline like that to the big screen has been a focal point of conversation among my friends since the first Iron Man movie. The story juxtaposes heroes at different sides of a leaf. Do we let heroes run around unaccounted, or do we watch and control how these heroes behave for the safety of the world?
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It was great, and but like I also, because of what we're giving away and like the reasons here, Brian Banks is our winner.
Yay!
Congratulations, Brian Banks. He says, I am an avid listener of many shows on the AfterBuzz network, and Agents are probably my favorite. I grew up reading comics, and now I'm in geek heaven with the explosion of the Marvel Universe on the big and small screen. The one movie I'm most looking forward to is The Black Panther. I'm an African-American man, and it's always important to me to have great role models in comics. The Black Panther is not only a hero, he's royalty and a great superhero to follow. Keep up the great work, and although it has nothing to do with this particular podcast, Bank Holiday. He says, I like The Strain too. That's a reference to another show that Matt and I both host called The Strain, which is on FX. But
Brownie points.
Congratulations, Brian. Make sure you tweet at us. You can tweet at me at that Zach Wilson, at Megan at the Menguin.
The Menguin, yep.
Joyce, what's your Twitter?
Joyce Ajouri. It's my first initial and last name.
And we'll throw those out again at the end of the show.
Yeah, but please, so send us a tweet, and then we'll get in touch with you about sending you this fantastic poster.
Yay!
Yeah.
Congratulations again, and thank you again to everybody who has gone to comment, who participated in the contest. You guys rock. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans are the best fans.
Yeah, this
They really
is
are.
ridiculous. The amount of I was astounded. You guys are awesome.
When you brought those in tonight, I was like, oh my God. This is amazing.
All right, we should probably get back to it. We're running a little short on time now. But okay, let's talk about the next story arc in the hunt for this serial killer, because we open up with Derek and a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who doesn't remember him, and he murders her, and honestly that's one of the creepiest scenes I think we've seen so far this season. And just his entire story arc for this episode was just so creepy. And we find out why he was pressing down on the tattoo artist's hand and everything. I'm not going to knock the mic over. But the fact that pain helped him remembered after that big old memory wipe. I mean, what did you guys think about this side of the story?
The pain part?
Just Derek in general, and just kind of the hunt for this serial killer.
Oh, I thought it was great that because they sort of they glossed over up until now the fact that they tested this on other people, what happened to them. So it was great to find out that they have different pieces of the puzzle and they're all trying to solve it, and it drove other people to absolute insanity.
Yeah, and we actually get to, with with the memory machine, we get to see Coulson as the director of the Tahiti Project and the things that he witnessed in the process of that. And that was kind of heart-wrenching, too, because, again, it's kind of like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, is Coulson going to be sitting there in a chair one day drooling or, like, you know, stark raving mad, like have to be dragged away in a straitjacket?
That was my favorite part of this episode. And not only because it was so well done in terms of really making me feel like it was really insanely creepy, but I liked seeing that part of Coulson that I didn't know existed. Like seeing him and his memories and what he saw, and seeing him in that bed, that memory bed, at his lowest that I've ever seen him was really interesting.
Well, and the responsibility that comes with that, too, because he was the head of this project. He did this to these people. That was completely all on him. And even when he's wiping their memories to, you know, give them a second chance, he's watching it, and we know that later on he ends up on that same slab getting his memories wiped, and he's just looking over it and going, what have we done? And I liked seeing that side of Coulson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because this is the darkness that this character has fallen into. People were worried, I think, especially after the first half of the first season, that the show wasn't going to go into these intense situations. It is a network TV show, so you run that risk of pulling punches a lot. But they're not holding back anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and it was also very interesting to see how the different people reacted in different ways, even though they all had their memories wiped. Some people, you know, reacted by doing art. Some people reacted by murdering other people, which is not good.
Or welding.
Or welding. Which, how cool was that to finally see kind of the puzzle come together?
Totally.
Because I think they mentioned at the beginning of the episode, like, it doesn't match any constellations. I think Sky said if it's a map to nowhere. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that it's actually a 3-dimensional image of a city. Do you guys have any thoughts on, like, what that might be or where that city may be?
My brain instantly is thinking Adelon, which is the Inhuman city. It's just like the fact that they're dropping a mysterious city that the Kree was trying to get to on us. Mm-hmm. It all hints at Inhumans, but like the movie's not coming for another 4 or 5 years. So would Marvel drop a hint or a plot line for a movie that is 4 years away on television?
You gotta plant the seeds.
I guess, but like if it turns out that Skye is actually inhuman, that she's effectively like a mutant of sorts. It's like Marvel's mutant B team in a way. They don't have the X-Men, so they're gonna play with the Inhumans. But if it turns out that Skye is an Inhuman, do we like keep her around, or does she like have to go off to like help prep for the Inhumans movie for a while?
I don't know.
I mean, if she turns out to be an Inhuman, I would love to see her in the movie. You know, provided our team is still alive by that point. I really hope they are. I know. But you have to imagine, I went to Paley Fest for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they were here in LA last year, and they mentioned, you know, when you get a season 2, that they have things planned out for a couple other seasons, but you know, you never know what you're actually going to get picked up for. But say they do have things planned out to say season 5. Why wouldn't you plant the seed for the Inhumans? Because obviously, as the series goes on, you do have the potential for more and more kind of co-branding crossovers with the Marvel film universe. Again, it doesn't have to be anything direct, but it can be direct enough.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, if to drop a hint this early means that you can't like keep talking about it for 5 years. So you have to bring it up and then like put it aside.
Yeah, well, they could do that. They could bring it up and then bring it up again in the upcoming films, not necessarily in the forefront, but have it there, have it be a thing, have it be a wink or a nod. And then when they do the movie, just have it be its own thing, like Guardians of the Galaxy was. Even though Guardians of the Galaxy had Thanos and all this other things from previous Marvel movies, it stood on its own as just its space adventure. I don't see any reason why the Inhumans wouldn't be the same.
Well, I guess it depends on the extent to which you're going to incorporate. Like, this is the fine line that this integrated universe walks, is like, you want it to be all interconnected, but you can't have a feature film that relies on somebody having watched 5 seasons of a TV show.
In the same way that you were able to watch, Captain America 2 without having watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you had been watching, it was all the better.
Yeah.
So it might be something like that, where it's not essential, but an enhancement. Yeah. There you go.
And here's hoping that they keep, like, that kind of integrated, like, world connection, because, like, the way that Cap 2 affected the show was fantastic, as opposed to the way that, like, Thor 2 was, like, they visited for the movie for an episode and then kept going.
It's more like kind of ancillary Asgardians, although it was great seeing Lady Sif in the show, kind of Asgardian things that don't necessarily, that hadn't really been in the Thor movies yet, were in the show. Although Lorelai, she might pop up in Thor Ragnarok, who knows?
Yeah.
That would be great to see, actually.
Yeah.
It would be great to see her again.
Well, they have to bring the Enchantress in. It's like one of the Thor's, like, big villains, and it seems, I don't know the Ragnarok storyline, but Lorelai is with the Enchantress, who we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know much about the Ragnarok storyline in the comics, but just Norse mythology, Ragnarok is basically the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of our show that we're here to talk about,
we're getting off topic a little bit.
but the city of Adelon, that seems like what other city could it, if it's not something new, which I'd be totally fine with it being something original as well. I don't need it to be like, that's the thing that I'm sort of waiting. I feel like Marvel's Phase 4 might be original content. I would be down at least for one. Well, who knows? I guess that's sort of what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is this is their original storylines. Anyway.
No. But you still have all these fun properties to play with and everything like that.
Yeah. My point is, if it's not an original thing, I don't know what other city it could possibly be if it's on or around Earth.
Yeah. No, I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. The big question is that because this was something that...
Unless it's Atlantis.
I was wondering, but is there an Atlantis in the Marvel Universe?
There is. Namor. Namor is the
Submariner.
The Submariner who's the king of Atlantis in this universe. Not Aquaman.
He's the counterpart of Aquaman.
He's the Marvel version.
But I don't think that they're planning on doing Namor anytime soon.
Well, I mean, why would aliens be looking for Atlantis if that was the case?
We're all looking for Atlantis.
It's a perfect city.
I guess. Okay, but we also have like a couple other really interesting things from this particular storyline. It was a lot of fun to see. It was honestly this one was fun, but like I feel like fun isn't the right word because it went so dark. Like, I don't know about you guys, I was terrified when Derek knocked out Coulson and he's got that family captured and he's got Coulson hanging and he's like cutting it. Like that was the most intense, awful scene.
And seeing him cut Coulson was giving me chills. Like I was like, no, I can't handle this. But yeah, it was terrible.
It's hard to see like your hero like being violently cut. That was not like that was like viewer discretion advised.
Yeah, for a minute I was like, are we still watching ABC or did we switch over to HBO and I just didn't know it, or AMC or something like that?
Is the network that's doing like the live action Frozen storyline?
I loved though when who threw the knife?
Oh, it was Derek. He threw the knife at Thompson.
And the way he caught it, I was like, hell yeah, he still got it.
He's like, even with his memory wiped, he still has those agent instincts, which was so great. And then he threw it and was able to get Coulson down, and that was great.
I loved his face when he comes like,
he's like,
what?
Did I do that?
Yeah, and that was probably probably the biggest positive out of this particular storyline is that even though a lot of the people who had undergone the GH procedure, even though most of them ended up dead as a result of Derek wanting to find the pieces of this puzzle, at least Thompson got out of it okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, he reacted the most different after getting the GH in him.
Yeah, he was probably the most healthy and the most stable and probably the most happy.
But I'm wondering, because it does affect people differently. I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna see him soon in this season. Maybe he'll come back way later, but
he's still alive, so who knows?
Yeah, like it could totally affect him this same way later on. He could be fighting these demons later.
I mean, he was building in his basement, so who knows what happens.
Maybe he's a welder, right? So maybe he does something. Maybe he's like kind of building the map.
Well, as a welder, he's he thinks in 3 dimensions, which was probably why he was able to build the city in 3 dimensions instead of just painting it or carving it into something. Because we have an assassin and an artist and Coulson, who's very much a pencil pusher for the most part, and all of them, they could only think, I think, in 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
But he was the only one that was able to take it that extra step.
I'm curious to know, like, I mean, we saw the reaction of Coulson when he realized that it was a blueprint, and then we saw Derek's reaction when he finally realized what Coulson was trying to show him. But I was kind of surprised to see that Skye didn't have any sort of reaction to that either. Like, when that was brought to her attention, I felt like she should have reacted more, and maybe even
Well, she hasn't
Thompson.
been getting these visions. She hasn't been feeling the need to draw this map or anything like that. It's one of the questions as to what she is, because she's not reacting this way.
But I mean, she figured out it was a map, so I feel like that one small step could have brought her closer to maybe feeling what Coulson was feeling. Not at his degree, obviously.
Well,
but
she's still in danger, but, at the end of this, when Coulson and Derek were able to see it in 3 dimensions, the compulsion went away.
Right.
Now, is that, like, gone for good, or is it just something, like, now it's just latent and something even worse is going to be on the horizon? That's kind of like when they were initially revived, they felt fine. Nothing was weird. And then they started getting visions.
If something worse is coming along the way, at least they know where it's going to happen, and maybe they can plan around what they know so far. So I think they take comfort in that.
Well, I like that they sort of give us more of an explanation, is that this is the memories of this Kree.
Yeah, it's a genetic memory.
Yeah, it's so implanted in. So maybe it was like his mission to get to the city, to find the city, and that he crash landed. Like, it's the idea that maybe it's Marvel has been floated around before.
And that's the other thing, is that they mentioned that the guest had been there for over 1,000 years. So if this was a city that existed 1,000 years ago, if that was the case, if it was this thing's mission to go and find this city, then maybe it is Atlantis, because
Tahiti, you guys.
how unsettling was that to see the painting that had the title "A Magical Place"?
Yes, that was creepy.
So cool. Now I'm like thinking, like, what cities could be 1,000 years old?
Yeah, what is what in the Marvel universe? Again, it could be something original, but what in the Marvel universe is 1,000 years old that a Kree 1,000 years ago would be looking for?
You guys tell us, because we're sitting here
We're at a
live coming
loss.
up with this, so I can't be at my computer like remembering or flipping through my comments.
Anyway, we are running a little bit short on time, so I want to get final thoughts before we go into predictions. So real quick, what are your guys' final thoughts on this episode?
I just that it was awesome. And it was great to see everything that was unfolding in front of us and to experience the revelations that they experienced. It was awesome.
Yeah, good writing. Having 2 storylines running simultaneously that are not really interconnected but never feel like they're interfering with each other is not an easy thing, and a lot of shows have trouble with it. The writing was great. The directing was great. I love the sequence and the memory thing, the back and forth.
So good.
Directing, the editing, everything in that sequence was amazing. And of the acting, and the acting's always good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Overall, this season is 100 times better than last season. I mean, it's getting so much more amazing.
Not even to put down, like we were talking about, like I enjoyed
not
the
to put it
first
down.
like 16
Yeah, it's
episodes of season 1. They weren't like stellar, and you're like, this could be more, but it was still good. But this is just so much
This is what we wanted
better.
last year.
The first season was definitely enjoyable, especially the latter half was especially great.
Yeah.
But every episode this season, I feel it just gets more intense, and every time, it's so hard to actually like write notes for this because you just get so wrapped up in everything that's going on. You don't want to take your eyes off the screen, and that is good television.
Exactly.
Basically. All right, guys, I think it's time to get into predictions. Yeah.
Because we definitely haven't been doing it.
I know, right?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, let's go a little bit more into the immediate future because we get a promo for next week. Gosh, I am so wrapped up still in like what actually happened in the episode. What happened in the promo? Did we seriously all forget what happened in the promo?
We were.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Obelisk. The Obelisk is back.
Yes.
Sky's
Raina
father
comes
is back.
back.
Yeah. So and Whitehall is back, and I think it looks like they're getting ready to use the Obelisk for something.
They like flash back to like what Sky's dad had said before about it's not going to kill any people. It's going to be even better. It's going to be even cooler. Which again, more Inhuman stuff, like the Terrigen mist, like which creates Inhumans. It's all.
It's not going to kill people. It'll make them better. Who knows? That could be it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just with all these different villains, so to speak, coming back, and Ward again being on the warpath to his brother, I ultimately think that Ward is going to make a beeline for Senator Ward, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to try to stop him. I think they'll fail, but I think that will be a big plot point. Will be them trying to stop him from killing the senator, and then as far as the Obelisk goes, I think they're going to try to use it to. I don't know what it does, but I think that they're going to try. Obviously, they're going to try to weaponize it, and I think maybe they're going to try to unleash that on a city, on a wider scale.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
those are my thoughts. Any
Nice.
other thoughts for what we are going to get next week?
I mean, nothing at that grand of a scale, but I just, in this episode, we kind of saw Mac not feeling Coulson and kind of being like, can you imagine our S.H.I.E.L.D. being run by something that's half alien? And he looked really skeptical of Coulson when Coulson formally made the announcement that this is what's happening. I'm not crazy, whatever. Mac just looked really standoffish and not really liking the whole idea of that.
Just since you bring up Mac, I think that he's skeptical of leadership at the moment. But something he brought up earlier was, I think this is the best we've seen Fitz, the most healthy and responsive that we've seen him all season. He's doing really well. It's great.
Yeah, well, he's trying to help him with the video games.
And when were you referring to
the blueprints Fitz was
backup.
saying that you can't really ever destroy memories. You can only destroy the connections, and there's always a backup.
When he did say that to Fitz, he was like, "Oh, so does that mean you have backup?" And it's kind of like, "Oh, maybe
Fitz
he'll
had
help him with that somehow."
It's like ding,
Yeah.
light bulb.
And again, this is, I think, the happiest and most healthy that we've seen Fitz all season.
Meanwhile, Gemma's
all kind of a little bit passive aggressive.
Yeah.
This is the only time I think we've ever seen Simmons be straight up passive aggressive to anybody.
But
we did mention the best line in the whole episode when
the
Fitz.
Enya line, just kidding, that was way before.
When Fitz is just they're like, "How'd you get this body?" Corpsey DM sees the dead.
That was really amazing. That was hilarious.
Sees the dead. That was pretty great.
That was improvised.
I don't know. We had to go back because we missed whatever happened after.
It was wonderful. Well, guys, I think that just about wraps up the time we have on AfterBuzz today. Oh my gosh, such a good episode. Zach Wilson, where can the people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz, a whole bunch of shows. Grimm is back. Resurrection. Sleepy Hollow's coming up next. Tons of stuff. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Joyce.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Sunday Night Walking Dead podcast and Monday Night Gotham podcast.
Great. And you can follow Matthew Lieberman at Matthew D. Lieberman on Twitter. And you can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in
Thank
tonight.
you.
This was such a fun episode to cover. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.